Now, don't forget the other big problem with Labor's super plans. They want to use your money to fund their projects, including renewable energy. This will only jeopardise your savings, Labor appropriating our compulsory savings to fund their woke agenda. John Spooner, the cartoonist, nailed this in the Oz Today. "What did you do in the climate wars, Dad?" asked the kid fishing among the turbines. "I let Albo and Jim do this with my super," says Dad. So frighteningly true, isn't it? In fact, in the UK, it's just been revealed that consumers are paying wind energy companies hundreds of millions of pounds a year to switch off their wind turbines. That's right, to switch them off. When there's lots of wind, there's too much electricity for the transmission systems, so they're paid to shut down. Of course, the UK has fired up old coal plants too, because when there's no wind, they don't have enough power. What a shambles. And there are more on energy virtue signalling and how futile it is when you look at what's happening in China when it comes to coal. First off, let's have a look at how the CEO of United Airlines was talking up his company's contribution in the US to a $100 million fund to develop sustainable aviation fuels, SAF, biofuels.
What's exciting about this is unique. I think it's a first of its kind because we're not just buying sustainable aviation fuel. We're really investing in the technology, the R&D, the companies that are trying to build this industry, because this industry really doesn't exist today.
Oh, isn't this wonderful, speculating with hundreds of millions of dollars? OK, this is the sort of stuff that the climate alarmists applaud. The Teals and the ABC would say, this is great. This shows how the world is going to decarbonise. We're all heading to net zero. But look how quickly it folds under just a little questioning.
I mean, $100 million, I get it, but you guys spend billions on other things. This seems like you're putting your toe in the water to sort of say, yeah, we're trying to do something. But realistically speaking, when do you see any real replacement for the jet fuel you use right now? 10 years? 15 years? 50 years? What is a realistic number without just, feeling good about doing this?
Well, look, I think you're hitting on the correct point, which is this isn't a transition globally that's going to happen overnight. And I know the statistics as well as anyone because I really do pay attention to climate change. And the world is not going to turn off using fossil fuels overnight. I don't know if that's going to be in 2 years, it's not going to be in 2 years. If that's going to be in 5 years or 10 years. But we've got to start making the investment today.
Yeah, it's not going to be in 2 years. Is it going to be in 40 years, 50 years? Biofuels cost about 4 times what avgas does at the moment, so you'll get that kerosene smell at the airport for a long while to come. So much of this is just pretense, corporate virtue signalling and delusion. If you just look at what is actually happening in the world, you can see that stunts like this in the Western world will amount to nothing. Because in China, they continue to go all in on coal. China is approving 2 new coal-fired power stations a week in a desperate bid to shore up its energy supplies. Look at this map. All of the red and orange dots you see show coal-powered stations either approved or under construction. Now, all this while we cripple our economy and hurt working families by closing ours. And this graph shows carbon emissions from coal. Most of the major nations are down the bottom there with coal emissions heading downwards, except for India, of course, which is green there, and it's risen to second place. But it's still just a fraction of the massive Chinese emissions that continue to grow. And we kid ourselves that our pretend plane fuel and solar panels and wind turbines will save the world. Wait till I show you what we're doing with offshore wind later in the program. I keep telling you, national self-harm. That's what we're seeing every day on climate and energy policy. National self-harm.